Like, don't say I'm not racist, I'm not sexist, I'm not homophobic. Just say I'm a bad person, because then they won't come after you. When you say I'm a perfect liberal progressive, that's when they go, let's see the dirt you've done. Let's find out. I guarantee you, when that David Cross shit came out, there was a number of people running through his entire timeline of Twitter because they started bringing up old tweets he had done about some shooting in New Orleans and brought that out. And they were like, oh, he's always been a racist. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's just go and say, I'm a sinner just like everybody else.
So do you think the comedians are going to shy away, or are they going to ball up?
No, because there's 1,000 comics trying to make a name for themselves. And just like the kid who wants to fight the biggest guy in prison or take out the bully, there's comics going, I'll go hard as fuck. I don't give a shit about
I want to see it.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
What you won't see is like, I mean, I think Jim Jeffries been grandfathered in, Bill Burr's been grandfathered in, Louis, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. I think what you'll see is a lot of like sitcom, like I'm not shitting on, but like D'Elia probably has a career outside of stand up. I don't think he'll ever go hard in the paint about social justice or anything like that. Rogan's been grandfathered in.
This is just about life, though. You keep calling it politics. This is life.
Yeah, but
it's very unsafe to live in this society right now. You could lose your job from something you said 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
I'm wondering how far back people go. Are they going to go 40, 50 years, 100 years? You know, are they going to start taking away Academy Awards?
That's Trump's point. They're taking down all the statues because the people were racist, and you're going to get rid of Jefferson and Washington. You know, that's the extreme.
Okay, that's part of me. Then I go, okay, if we're gonna say take down the animals, then let's take them all down.
The animals,
like the Harvey Weinsteins. So let's go down. Let's go through the fucking line.
And let's get into Sacramento and politicians, because they are the most egregious outliers.
Take them all down.
I've heard some stories I can't believe
about a certain governor that we had,
about people in our state
but that's the duality
that we've elected that are representing us. I don't dig it. As a citizen, I want names. If the private sector is going to be held to this, sure as hell the public sector has to be.
Yeah,
but the duality of Trump admitting and having as many settlements as Harvey Weinstein being president of the United States, that's the duality of what's going on. There's something really unknowable is going on.
Yeah.
But I'm more about the words. I give you the example. When NWA came along, I've been a part of the music scene here in LA from the beginning, from the late 70s. The guitar player in my band, KK, had the first hip-hop club in LA called Radio in 1981 in downtown LA. So we all kind of knew of Eazy-E, Ice-T when he first rapped when he was a kid. We kind of knew, we were the rock kids who knew about the rap world coming up. So when the NWA record came out, it was unbelievable. It was a phenomenon like no music has ever been. I remember getting the record and listening to it and thinking, this makes the Sex Pistols look like ABBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it became the most popular record amongst musicians. And we were at a birthday party for an actress who was dating a friend of ours. And I remember it was the Beastie Boys, the Chili Peppers, Fishbone, and my band, all at this park in Griffith Park, blasting on a big ghetto blaster, like in an 80s movie scene, the NWA record, and we're all singing along, and it came to the N-word, and all us white guys sang the N-word, and the black guys stopped and said, and I remember Norwood, the bass player from Fishbone's one of my best friends and a roommate, he goes, it's just so weird hearing white people say that word.
Yeah.
And I remember that word has power that it's never going to go away, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
But these other words where you can't even say retard anymore. You can't say retard.
Yeah.
I mean, now I'm going to get crucified for saying that.
Well, there's a lot of people, I think, I made a conscious, I stopped calling things gay. Like going like your car's gay.
Right.
Only because I heard Todd Glass say how that made him feel.
Yeah,
and then I
knew
went,
not to do it.
I was like, oh, cool.
That's one person who got their feelings hurt. That's not a reason to change a society. That person, the pluralism of America, Drew, is that we have to learn how to tolerate other people. That's what America is.
Yes, and unifying around certain principles and concepts that most people don't even know what they are. That's the problem. We haven't taught people what the idea of this country was. It was an idea. It's a thought. It's a concept.
It was a concept.
And it's the only country on earth that was founded around a concept. And that concept has been a unifying property of all these different people from all these different countries and cultures coming together and living in a productive, unified,
and a tolerant
in a
other
more
people's way.
perfect union.
That is so ripe for a sketch of a bunch of
Toluca Lake liberals taking their kids to preschool?
No, a bunch of people in the bottom of a boat coming to America, going, so what do you think this place will be? And go, well, I hope that there's freedom there. And they're like, yeah, that's what we're all looking for. And then one guy's like, I hope you can also that like there'll be church and state. Well, I don't think so, but in this freedom, you get your opinion. The guy's like, what? And like they're all expressing the idea of what this country will be. I'm not pitching this sketch well, but like I like the idea that the idea of this country has been forgotten. The idea of freedom.
Listen, I was watching Hamilton, the play, which was fantastic, and I was watching it. I was like, it's not really the way history went, at least in that first act. And then I went, oh my God, this is what people are going to think is the history of this country, is the idea. And I thought, wow, unless you really knew the facts, and it's fine, it's great, and it's a great study.
Wait, Hamilton wasn't black?
Right. Well, it's not those kinds. There was just some nuances about the ideas that were like, that's not quite what the idea was, but okay. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's going to be factually the notion that everyone has now, because they weren't ever taught the actual. There was no civics class, there was no government class, there was no history of the United States that everyone was really taught.
So let's go over the fundamentals. You can come here and honor any god you want, or no god.
Yes.
Right. You can come here and practice your cultural things, but you have to be respectful of other people's cultural things.
Yeah, because you can smoke marijuana in a religion, and they're cool with that.
The idea was you can come here and be free, be left alone. To practice your religion, to set up a business unencumbered from tyranny, from principles or government that were going to get in the way of you being free. Freedom is lost as a cultural virtue. Lost.
Well, yeah, but
now it's tolerance, and tolerance in its logic. If you demand absolute tolerance, becomes intolerance. And that's the problem we're into right now.
But the simplest individual's tolerance, like, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever I want. And as long as they don't collide dramatically, I'm not going to worry about what you do in your house, and I'm not going to...
Dude, there was never any concern about that. It was always what the government was going to allow us to do.
But now it's the people, dude.
I understand that. And Alexis de Tocqueville in 1822 came over here, a Frenchman, came over and wrote a book called Democracy in America. It's still one of the greatest sort of analyses of democracy ever. And he said, this country claims to have freedom of expression, freedom of speech. They have less than anywhere. Because as soon as you speak up, the public square will crush you. The government won't. The people will. Really? So extreme views are always crushed by the people. And that was his point.
Well, then why is there no faith that these Tiki Torch Ku Klux Klan members will be crushed in the public space?
Why is there faith about that?
Why there's no faith in that? I have complete faith. Give racist ideas and see what everybody says. And I guarantee you, I know America pretty well. They're not going to go for it.
Because discourse isn't something that's not allowed now. We have to use the Maoist technique of yelling people down and making sure they don't talk. Silencing offensive speech.
I might have to read a book on the Cultural Revolution in
Japan, in China.
Yeah, my uncle told me about it. In the 90s, he told me about it. And he was like, no, it's horrible. I guess he represented
in China or France?
China.
In China. He said he represented someone who was thrown out of a window, a professor that was thrown out of a window, and I think he had gone on to write a book.
Khmer Rouge was the same thing. Anybody with intellectual, anybody who knew something more than another person had to be killed. Because it was not equality, absolute uniform equality in all things at all times. And, you know, there have been waves of this kind of thing.
So all I'm saying is, I believe there's the brave and the righteous need to stand up right now, rather than cower away. I think we've all been cowering for 5 or 10 or 15 years, and we need to stand up and be righteous. And there's a hesitancy because there's that, well, why me? Right? I'll give you an example. I didn't want to profit off of the pain and suffering of drug addicts. I owned a rehab. I felt like I'm becoming rich off of other people's pain and suffering just because of a couple laws that were enacted, the Parity Act and Obamacare, right?
Yeah.
And there are many millionaires been made by those two laws that own rehab
It's
centers.
a disaster.
And I just
really.
felt bad. I just felt like, God, I already got enough. I already make a very good living and my kids live pretty comfortably. To just stack money in a bank account somewhere is so morally wrong. That I sold my ownership stake in the rehab 4 years ago. I said, I still love it because I designed it and I hired everybody and whatever, but I don't want to own it and I don't want all the stacks of money going up into my family. And everybody was calling me crazy. What are you talking about? What are you about your kids? What about you're so old and your kids are going to be dead and have no money? I go, I know families who left a lot of money to their children. They're my clients. I'm leaving my children very little. You understand?
Really brilliant statement.
Why can't people stand up and be righteous?
I never made any money.
You've never made any money off of rehab ever.
And I always did. I had the same kind of feeling like I don't really want to make a lot of money.
Maybe that's the influence you had on me. But as I knew, like, and there's some people that, it's the same as selling T-shirts. Like, no, it's not.
No, it isn't.
This is a human thing.
Weirdly, if you had an insurance company in between, it's like, okay, I'll take the insurance money. But even then, it's a little bit kind of weird. It's just
my wife wouldn't tell me how much we pay our therapist. Because she said, if you know, you'd stop going to therapy because you would look at it as paying his mortgage or what. I don't know how much I pay my therapist, but I imagine it's inconsequential.
$300 a session, I would imagine.
Oh my God, is it that now?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I wonder what it is. It's fucking $300
Are we on Facebook Live with this thing? Susan's texting me.
No.
No. Okay.